Okay, let's get started. I'm Caroline Renaud. I'm the Executive Director of GABA, the German American Business Association. And quick introduction, who we are, what we do. So GABA is an alliance of corporations, organizations, and professionals with the purpose of strengthening transatlantic business. We are a non-profit organization promoting business between California and Germany, and usually do a lot of events in person and on technology topics, networking, and so on. And well, since this is not possible at the moment, we still want to have our network connected. So we do these virtual events where we talk about certain topics, exchange ideas, and stay connected. And for those of you, I see quite a few members of GABA that have joined today. So really want to appreciate your support and really thank you for continuing to support GABA through these difficult times. That's really nice to still have this vibrant community going on. Just a few things for this event. So we have a fireside chat today. So I'd like to thank Florian Kolb for organizing today's event. Florian is a co-chair of our Clean Tech Interest Group, and Intertrust for sponsoring the event. Again, we really appreciate all the support in these difficult times. We will start with a fireside chat, and if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A, and we will get to that at the end of the program. And with that, I would like you to introduce your speakers today. So for today's session, we have a fireside chat between Intertrust Chief Commercial Officer Florian Kolb and Peter Mathis, Managing Director of E.ON, one of the largest utility and grid operators. So Florian, you take it from here.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. Thank you, and welcome everybody here from California. As you can see from our Zoom background pictures, we are perfectly aligned. So Peter in Germany, he's a big fan of California. We decided that we all go for the bridge background picture today. So a partnership in difficult times. That's, I think, a little bit the motivation for today's session. And given where the world is, and also given where the European, German, and US relationships are at the moment on the political front, we thought it might be interesting for people to learn a little bit about a partnership that actually is not in a difficult position right now, but that is working very well between Intertrust and Peter's activities within the E.ON context back in Germany. So just a very brief words on Intertrust. So we are a company, a joint venture between very large companies from different verticals from around the world. So in energy, our shareholders are E.ON now, formerly Innogy, from Europe, and Origin Energy from Australia. And then we have shareholders from the media and entertainment space like Sony, Panasonic, and healthcare Philips, and a private equity venture capital investor as well. So that's where we are coming from. And actually, given our relationship to the energy industry, what we will talk about today is some of the applications that we have developed on the data side, which, maybe for you, some of this is not so relevant, but we find it interesting that actually we have a partnership here around data and also around critical data between Europe and the US, which I don't think is like something that, we should take for granted, because as some of you may know, there are huge discussions back in Europe, how Europe and also how Germany gets more independent on the data side. So there are projects of the German government like Gaia X, which proposes that there is like a European or a German cloud versus the existing cloud systems that Amazon and Google and Microsoft and others provide. So it's a political environment. There's a lot of movement, and I think we have a showcase here for you. We would like to introduce to you, which exemplifies that cooperation, partnership working together is still possible. Now, this partnership is around electric vehicles, which is also, I think, a good timing. As we all know, California is the home to Tesla. And as we also all know, Tesla is now building a factory close to Berlin. I think this week, Elon Musk was in Germany, and apparently what I followed in the media being there, and I think he drove the electric Golf. I didn't see comments what he thinks about it, but it's a coincidence that this just happened this week. And so, you know, what we think, what we see, people are very much focused on the cars, which is great. Yeah, we love electric cars. But what people sometimes overlook a little bit, also the general public, is that these electric cars also need electrical infrastructure. Because ask yourself where you will charge your car in the future and where the electrons for charging these cars are actually coming from. And well, yeah, they come from the plug. And we know this in the energy industry for many years, that, you know, people take energy for granted because it comes out of the plug. The question is, what's behind the plug? And this is something that is largely unknown in the area of the e-mobility revolution. And I can tell you, we have a lot of interactions also with the car industry, and the awareness for the electrical infrastructure is, yeah, it's there, but there's more work that needs to be done. So what we want to talk today, and that leads me over introducing Peter to you, is what we think is a unique partnership in the area of electrical infrastructure around electric cars, electric mobility, and electrical charging infrastructure, and also other challenges to the energy system. What we will talk about is it's a global challenge. It's not specifically an issue for Europe or for the US. Everywhere where more electric cars will hit the road, you will see some of the challenges that we will debate here during the fireside chat. So let me briefly introduce you to Peter Mathis. He's Managing Director of Digico, which actually is a wholly owned subsidiary of a group known as E.ON, which is one of the largest utilities in the world and has a very dominant position in electrical infrastructure in Germany and in Europe. And we are strategic partners for 3 years now, and have developed what we will talk about. So Peter, very welcome to this webinar. It's late in Germany already.
Thank you.
So thank you for staying up.
6 o'clock. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Nice to be in that chat and to talk to you and to discuss. Thank you for the introduction. And yeah, partnership between Intertrust and Digico, a really nice story with some situations where you say, okay, this film is a special film. We met 2016, I think, in October. It's about nearly close to 4 years. And I saw two guys with a jet lag and really in a bad situation, in a bad shape. And some struggling guys from the energy side who said, oh, things around America and data and third-party application and third country and, oh, GDPR, it's not a good idea. And we were on that way with energy and Peter Therium to do new ways. And one of the new ways were to found something like Florian was operating in Silicon Valley to find partners for new business. I'm a grid guy, boy, and I'm more than 50 years old, and I saw nothing else than grid during my whole life. This is the reason why I'm looking like a 70 years old man, but it's grid life is hard life. And we are monopolists, and we have many data around grid infrastructure, really critical infrastructure. And it's about the ventilators of our ventilators to bring it in the right situation this time during pandemic. So we're talking about really critical things, our energy, our baseline. So we said, okay, we have a critical structure and we have data to that structure. And we need a partner who is able to handle critical data in a safe and secure way. And then we had that meeting, and there was a guy with a data idea, and there were guys with a platform which can host data safe and secure. And this was a lucky situation because I never thought that I can meet that company during this time frame, because it was just an idea. So now partnership is running around, operating since 3 years. And in September 2017, then I saw the first result of steered grid data. And this was a nice effect to see that, to have a nice partner. So this is the reason why we started our cooperation with Intertrust and Digico, to have a partner for secure data steering, for secure data managing, and secure data sharing. And sharing is one of the most important thing around digitalization and energy transformation.
Thanks, Peter, for the warm words. So I prepared a couple of questions for you around the topics you already described. So you are now actively working in this partnership in a German-Californian partnership for a couple of years. So I have two questions for you to start with. First question is, what is exciting for you working in such a partnership? Question number one. Question number two, what are the challenges?
Yeah, exciting is nearly everything, because everything is a new impression. So as I started this idea, I said, oh my God, I'm 50 years, I have to learn English again. And there comes Peter in April 2017 to Silicon Valley and said, oh, my English is not so good, so I can't explain what my idea is, but it works as well because there were some translators around. And yeah, we were able to figure out what the compelling story is. And we are totally different in behavior and setup. And this is really nice impression and experience that we bring up a monopolist, set up people from monopolist side with a new idea in the future. And to bring this together, this working culture from a no risk culture, no mistake culture, always safe culture, really hierarchical and well structured with rules and frames, to bring that in the evolution of new IT idea in a new working setup with agile methods and IT production. And these words are totally different in the beginning, but if the people are working in a good way on the social side and working as a team, it comes together in friendship and partnership. And we have a good idea for the future with a compelling story for the future to run the economical system of energy. Then it's possible to bring something up with 9 hours delta, with different languages, with different working methods, and many frames and learnings and mistakes and fallbacks. But after 4 years, we are still on and we still work together. So it is a good partnership, because partnerships need trouble. Otherwise, it's no partnership. So it's a really nice impression we have. The challenge is really the time. The challenge is the way to synchronize, to work in the right way together, to really a whole lot of documentation. And we're really international. We have South Koreans around. We have Austrians like me. We have Bavarians, not Germans, Bavarians like Florian. Some Indian people, some German people. It's really nice to have this different culture and different color, and to bring it up in a team and see what is possible if you do it. And I never thought I could reach that step now in that time, because we are monopolists, we are nice guys from the grid side, special guys, and this is a huge impact on our side, and I hope on the platform side as well. So a good partnership with many, many impressions, nice situations, and hard times. But it's still running during COVID, and this was really nice impression to see it works around every impact we have at the moment.
Excellent, thank you. So E.ON and all the subsidiaries that are partly or wholly owned by E.ON, E.ON is one of the largest energy infrastructure operators worldwide, as I said before. Can you explain us why do you have to reconsider the approach, how to handle this infrastructure and also the related data? What's all this about? What's the issue here?
Yeah, this is the main topic because you can discuss everything. You can ramp up a really nice car with many, many features. If you don't have energy to support that car, it's just something standing around. It's just like a house, expensive house. So the same situation, if you ramp up applications, if you ramp up platforms, everything you do around functional solutions in the IT, if you don't have the right data to handle the future, if you don't have the right data about your grid asset, you can't bring all these clever and smart ideas from Stanford, from Aachen, from everywhere, where people talking about energy of the future together in the reality, because every application is only so good like the data behind that and the data you are collecting and you're supporting that platform. And this was our main approach. The main work we have, it's dirty work to stab in the cellar and put out your silo data you're collecting over the last 30 years as a monopolist. You're not really related to IT, but you do your own data collection idea in every unit, in every way you can imagine. And the main task is to bring your 100, 200, 300 different data sets in one place and to bring it in one direction, like a magnet, to say, okay, we have now one stream in that data, one quality. Now we can use it for forecasts, for grid calculation, for automatical grid calculation. We did the step to the moon 25 years ago. If you step inside the utility business in the data situation, it's like the space center you have 1969 with 15,000 different screens because you didn't have the data on one side. Everybody was looking at this screen, and this is the same situation in our world as well today. So we have to handle the nuggets in the cellar. We have to bring it up and to share it in the right way because it's critical data. But if you share a little bit of that with some other people in that whole process and units and institutes, you can ramp up the transmission of energy and the including of EV charging, etc. So you have to bring up things in the future to get in contact from the utility side, from the DSO side, to bring it in connection to your customers, because it's always resource management, nothing else. So data is the baseline for everything. Without data, we have no energy change.
So, I mean, that leads me to my next area of questions. I mean, you know, apparently there's a lot of talk about innovation, becoming more digital, also, you know, given the new work situation that a lot of people had to face during the COVID times. So there's a lot of talk. There is a lot of planning to do more digital. And I would like to know what you have done to solve some of the data problems, which are digital problems, around planning for grid infrastructure and planning for electric vehicle charging.
Yeah. So yeah, what we have to do is, or what we did is over many years, because this was just a journey, not just a project. It was a journey to figure out where are the right data we need to for example, to make automatic calculation for EV impacts on the public area side, on the half public area side, on supermarkets, etc. In garages, for example. You see in Silicon Valley, there are many Tesla wall box inside the garages. And sometimes your transformer on the wooden pole lies down on the floor because the second or third Tesla was plugged in. So the question is, we have 12 minutes not connect each year, each customer in Germany not connected to energy. So small window of disruption. So the question is to bring all the impacts we will have in the future. Maybe Shemek, you can share slide number 23 to get an impression. To bring up data from the grid side, bring it in relation to the question of what have we impacts on the garages? What is the behavior of the people in the future to charge at home in their garages? Which potential is there? We combine it, you see it here in some orange areas where we have some number on it. This is just the consumption. We have a prognosis on it. Into 2026, for example, our prognosis on this garage in the middle, 2.4, for example, you see, is just the value of the consumption each day. So we can bring it in one area, like you see it in different colors here, related to the grid. This is an area which is supported by one substation, and we can figure out each impact on that substation if we know which area is related to that substation. In the middle, you see a little red point with a 400 on it. This is 400 kilowatts installed capacity on this substation. And you see the prognosis for the EV charging in the future, half public. An additional feature here is, for example, my driving behavior. It's a little bit close to Halloween to see on which date my car was on which position. But to bring these things together on one road, to have an overview about mobility, about the way charged cars are driving, the question, where do they park during the night, which impacts do we have on the grid, so we don't have a grid disruption in the future. This is the main point, and not to digger up everything and to bring it with copper inside. It's a really expensive idea and it doesn't help. So to make it intelligent, to bring transparency inside, and to bring everybody in a right perspective on the right decisions in the future. This is the main point, to bring data sets on one row and to share it secure and safe. For example, to bring EV data and prognosis and grid data together in one row.
Okay. That looks, that looks like a pretty complex task. Why is this really new? Why haven't people done that already in the last few years or so?
Yeah, you have to ask them. The main point is to what makes us special. It makes us special that we come from the grid side. It's a little bit, really special, because normally a grid guy comes, don't get out of this house. We are just behind the curtain. Normally you don't recognize us if you don't have an accident or something like this, or want to have an household connection. But in the future, there will be many, many more impacts on our grid side. So there will be evolution on the one hand. And this is the reason you have to step out. It doesn't matter in which situation and where we are, but we said we are not able to handle the future in this way. Sometimes we're talking about, Florian, this was a really stupid idea we did, because it's really hard work to manage it. But to see what is now realized and really finished in first production value, this is just amazing and really good. So it was the right way to do that, but you need special people to do that. And maybe this is the reason we have a special situation in partnership, and in my internal team. My team is really special. We have a world champion in the rowing, 8th of Germany. It's a colleague of Florian in the past. So special people around, and you need some nerds to do such ideas. but you need to have the nerds and the partners and a good idea and really baseline to the reality and not to the idea. And this is a nice way. So I think this is the reason why nobody comes up with that idea. I think the main point is that we bring up the grid data. And this is hard work. You have to go to the ground into the cellar. And if you don't go to the cellar, you can't bring them up. So if you don't start in this way, you can't get up with this idea. And this is the reason.
Peter, you talked about the data sharing aspect of things, and that this is important. So do you also work together with cities in this area and other stakeholders that have an interest or that have some data?
Yeah, this is the reason why we build it up, because it's just not only for E.ON. We have about, I think, 13,000 contracts in Germany. You know, we are really close to regulation and have that concessions, special situations. We have about 800 DSOs in Germany. We have about 1,200 utilities, and we have 11,000 municipalities. Berlin is the largest, and the smallest is just an island in the Northern Sea. So the main point is we have whole Germany, and we have 7.5% and 1,400 municipality on the Westnet side. So this all in connection with the grid. We have the largest grid provider on that platform. We can show the future now live. So what we did is the reason why we were searching for a platform partner like Intertrust was not only to have data secure in one platform. We want to have shareable data, because only sharing of data makes digitalization really interesting and really effective. So to share critical data safe, it's a great request. And to share that with 11,000 municipalities, to share their data to each other, to municipalities by side in the neighborhood, to make new partnership. It's just sharing of infrastructure information to make things more efficient and more quick, faster. And this is the reason why it's a good idea to do it with Intertrust, not only to have it safe and shareable. And you always the leader on the sharing idea of your data. You always the master of the data, and you are the one who is talking about who can see it, who is not allowed to see. And for example, you can switch on such a data you see here in that picture for 5 minutes and switch it off, and just only one data. Or you see whole Germany, and this is the main topic. To bring everything together in one place, social economical data, grid data, customer data, it's privacy policy, it's everything is done, and you decide who is allowed to see or not. So this makes a platform, it's like Spotify, a little bit more tricky.
And how do you deal with the data security and data privacy concerns, which are, I think, very, very present and very dominant, at least in the German discussion? I'm not so sure whether they are so relevant in what people are actually doing. I mean, one of the examples I tend to mention is that I think the market share of Google in search is the highest in Germany. So it seems that a lot of people in Germany are relatively relaxed, but I mean, the sentiment is that, you know, Germans and the government and everyone is paranoid by data security and data privacy. So how do you go about that? So
it's funny thing, and Germany is really deep inside that frames, and it's really hard to steer that and to understand. This is the first thing. You have to understand what you have to do, what you are not allowed to do. And if you ramp up something like these things like unbundling, like real restriction, you have to fulfill, otherwise you are really in trouble. So really hard frames. So what I explained was we are able to steer every data. So we are able to give in that platform on the back end, we are able to give setups, who is allowed to see what. So we are able to steer everything what we have to each customer who is allowed to see, depending on several frames and rules. So, for example, if you want to have the information, where are the best areas to offer quick charger for supermarkets? So I can figure out the information, and I give you login to the data you are buying. On the other hand, a municipality wants to see grid data from a DSO, and he is allowed to see that, and he has got the right, the contract right to see that. So we are able to steer that data from the DSO side to the customer side, to the municipality side. So we have all the rules behind. The owner of the data can set up his own rule. He can buy our data. He can be connected to DSO if a DSO is in our area. So we can steer every role and separate every role. And this is the reason why we can show every data we are allowed to show. So we are not allowed to show personal data, only to the person who is owner of this data. But if we want to share personal data, we are not allowed, so we can't do it. All the data you can see here, for example, for buildings or substations, or maybe critical data from internal, but we are allowed to show it from the Westnet side. In the other hand, this mobility data you see is my personal data, and I decide you are allowed to see it. And if we have some forecasts here, it's no problem. It's something I can show you, but I'm not allowed to show you here personal data, and I will never do that. But they could be inside that platform. So the main frame is I can steer everything, and I can set up every rule set. And so I'm able to do everything if I know what I do.
Sounds like data governance plays an important role here. That also leads me to a next group of stakeholders in the electric car revolution, so to say. What role can the car companies play here, and also the EV charging infrastructure providers?
It's really interesting question, because I'm an EV driver since 6 weeks, and I got my E.ON card, and I was not able to charge enough free chargers, but no payment. So it's not an infrastructure. Maybe it's a way around that whole process. But you know, we bring two businesses together in one place. So everything what will come up in the future around EV has to be a whole connection between main informations between OEMs and utility business units, and additional to the charge point operator, because this is just the question of the customer journey. If you are driving EV, you want to charge, you don't want to take care about the grid behind, you don't want to take care about the data of the OEMs or the data of the DC. So the question is, the journey must be nice. And if the journey should be nice, some institution have to come together. And what you see here is just some data of my car. And if I know which data are collected from Audi side now for my e-tron, and this is the reason why I have the car, because I want to have just connection to that impression EV change. So if I see what they collect, these are many informations I can use to make a forecast in relation to the grid evolution, because nobody has fun if the grid is out and dark and disconnected. We are dark, this is no option. So it's our way to do it intelligent, and intelligence is just information and the right decision. You can do many things automatically, but therefore we have to have the right data. So from my perspective, if there's a connection between OEMs and car vehicle information, and there's a connection between the charging point operators, they have all information, that they have the real requirement of the people and the real load. We are in a good connection to do that in the future without personal data. It's just a question, what's about your car? It doesn't matter who is inside. So if we bring that together in one road, there's a great opportunity and connection in these three different roads because they are paying on the same road.
Yeah, I think that's also an area where, you know, people are doing a lot of pilots and testing, but it hasn't really been institutionalized so far. So
you see the pictures and the data. Yeah.
Vehicle to grid communication is a big headache. So what's the language that the car talks so the grid can understand, which is great. But I mean, I think there are, you know, just more ways to bring people together and also bring the data together. But
yes,
some work that needs to be done, I think, in that space.
So it's a between people. It's not data are really in good connection, and they don't cry and they don't hit each other. Data are really nice guys. It's about the people who are sharing the data.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm coming to my last question now. So maybe if there are like there's need for a Q&A, we can have that. So how can other utilities benefit from the work that you have been doing? And do you also think all of what we discussed is relevant for the US because we are in a German California or German US situation here?
So God makes some things similar, and this is maybe today the relation. Just in a small variation, the relation of the human being to electricity today, maybe a little bit other way around than 50 years ago. So we are totally depending on it every day more. On the other hand, IT and physics worldwide nearly the same. This is the reason why I'm able to work together. And the requirements for that climate discussion and what we discussed today, it's not about EV or it's about our climate. It's not about climate, it's about human being. So the funny thing is gravity and all these things are nearly the same worldwide in physics as well. So nearly close to everything, 100%, the behavior of the culture of the utility guys or the frame guys around the administration side is nearly the same worldwide. The requirements are nearly the same, maybe 5-10% special requirements, but in the end, everywhere the same. It's the behavior of the people and the end behavior of the institutes and infrastructure provider to get in contact to the customers and to do right decisions about our most needed infrastructure. And in the end, if I look in that pandemic, and pandemic is nothing else than resources management, and this energy transmission is nothing else than resource management. If you have the right information for the right decisions everywhere the same, we can use it worldwide. And you know, we've been together to Japan last year, and that C19 hits us a little bit on the network side, but we are still working, and we are still in connection. So the product is still running, but our sales activity is a little bit reduced. But it's worldwide the same. So yes, totally yes. That's the reason why it's built for.
Thank you very much. So in the light of time, I would like to close now with thanking you very much for giving us these insights. And I mean, this is like very unique information that you don't hear in many places, because especially also when you know, people in the energy industry talk to the public, there is a protocol, because there is a regulation, there is a lot of political attention to this topic right now. Also, you know, in the light of the relevance of the car industry for the German economic. So thank you so much for giving us an insight into your kitchen, so to say. and sharing these strategic thoughts. And yeah, we will continue the mission, kick tires, and thank you so much. So I think now there's the opportunity for
I didn't hear you, Florian.
Yeah, we have a Q&A now. If there are any questions, or Embriel.
Ambriel, you're on mute.
Hi, I said that we're going to give everyone a few moments to put any questions that they have in the Q&A portal or the chat portal. So if no one has any additional questions, we're going to make sure that the video is available to everyone. You can watch it when you're ready. We want to thank everyone for joining us today.
There's a question.
Oh, we just had one pop up. Great. From, let's see, Justin. Back in 2017, the market for EV infrastructure was far from clear. What made you decide to embark on this? And that question is for Peter.
Yeah, what we recognized is that EV discussion was still running in Germany. You know, we have not only that question to bring EV in the grid area. The additional question is to step out of large power plants, light and nuclear. So the discussion in Germany around EV and the discussion around smart meter, the discussion about stepping out of this large plants, this was always around since 2005 to 10. But German decisions are really, really, really super fast in delivering and changing. So we're discussing smart meter rollout since 8 years. Discussing is the main thing we do, but we said, okay, sometimes it will come up. And so we are now in a situation, it will come up. And I had slides 2014 that people said 80% will charge at home in the garages because people in Germany have many property, their own property, so they will charge at home. It's really necessary for them. So we had that information really early, but the question is, when do you come up with this idea? And when do you buy this data and this garage data? So we have 13 million garages in Germany. So we have that information now. It will have an impact on the grid, but sometimes you have to have a little forecast and a little idea how it could happen.
Yeah, maybe to add, I think it's a great question. I think there's also a high level of being proactive here. So, and, you know, start to think about the future, you know, before it happens. And I mean, Peter at the time always said, look, I mean, we can wait for the regulator to tell us what to do, or we can wait for politicians forcing us to do certain things, which is probably something, you know, we don't really like, and we like to be proactive here because there is a obligation to society to organize a transformation of the energy system in a secure, reliable, and affordable way, and because it's a natural monopoly. So if you are, you know, if you're sitting still doing nothing, seeing that, you know, maybe there will be a crash, there will be not enough capacity for moving electrons around, and that maybe doesn't fit to the goal of, you know, running a affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy system. So, and I mean, to be honest, we don't see this strategy and attitude everywhere. So there are people who are more passive and who say, oh, you know, today we have 2% electric cars, you know, it will take forever before it goes up. And then, you know, we will wait until regulation tells us what to do. And, you know, if they say we should put more hardware into the grid, that's great, because that's, you know, how we can earn revenue and returns. So, so there are, I think there are a little bit different strategies. And I mean, I think there's a strong call for action also from academia. So there's a EV50 project from Stanford, which is like the flagship program of their Bits and Watts program from the Precourt Energy Institute, which suggests doing things now versus waiting until the EV penetration reaches areas that we will see congestion. And also the infrastructure, it's something that takes quite some lead time to change. Yeah, it's not it's not like software where you can go to the code, you do something, you do a change, and then it's done. This needs much more planning. You have, a lot of equipment that needs to be moved around. And in Germany, you need to open streets to put cables into the ground. Yeah, here you put them on poles. Yeah, but that's nothing you can do overnight. So I think that's also important here.
Perfect. Thank you for answering Justin's question, both Florian and Peter. Excellent answer there. I want to see if we have any additional questions, and we'll give everyone a moment to put them into either the chat or the Q&A portal. Okay, in that case, we would like to thank everyone for joining us today. A special thanks to our organizer, Caroline from GABA, for collaborating with Intertrust to conduct this talk, and many thanks to our excellent fireside chat presenters, Peter Mathis and Florian Kolb. And also, Shamik, thank you so much for helping moderate the session today. Everyone, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you for the time. Best wishes to America. Looking forward to stay there.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks,
Bye.
Gabriel.
Thank you.
Florian.